After my last attempt to make everyone laugh with sarcastic but truthful videos, it's time we talk about something serious again. Whippets can be very deceiving, so how about we debunk 8 myths about them today? If you're new here, I'm Addie and I've had Whippets for 16 years. I've been owned by 10 of them, currently 6, and I make breed-specific videos to help existing and future Whippet owners. If that's your type of content or you want to learn more about the breed, you can subscribe and join our growing Whippet family. Look at these weirdos. Just look at them. At first glance, it's easier to believe they need a ton of exercise. A creature that sleeps 2/3 of the day, meanwhile capable of pulling out a bikini competition body anytime, sounds unrealistic. But it's true, and it's also so unfair, because meanwhile I have to count my calories and track my workouts every single day. Once they mature, hibernation turns into their favorite hobby. The furniture in your house becomes their realm, and that's where they practice what they do best, sleeping. Obviously, this doesn't mean they don't need exercise. To thrive, they need physical and mental enrichment. But for some Whippets, a 1-hour walk per day, a quick burst of energy in the shape of a quality Zoomy, and a puzzle toy is more than enough to send them back to a lethargic state. In any case, a well-bred Whippet is all but hyperactive in most cases. I get why people may think so, especially if you're used to dogs that are not sensitive to weather. Believe it or not, before Whippets, I too used to cringe at dogs in coats. However, Whippets are really not made for cold with their low body fat percentage and super short coats. So yes, if they reside somewhere with colder climate and winters, they do need their sweaters, shirts and coats. Most despise rain, so raincoats come in handy as well. And in countries with freezing cold winters, they even need to wear boots. Whippets that are born and raised in colder climates can adapt better to lower temperatures to some degree, compared to the ones who live in cozy, warm countries. But even so, they will still need clothes below a certain temperature drop. It's not a fashion trend but a necessity. Consider this if you're looking into Whippets or another short-haired Sighthound. Whippets are calm and laid back in general, and even though they're not yappy, they can and do bark and will not hesitate to show you. Often that's due to being understimulated or under-socialized. Other times due to a burst of excitement. But they can also alert bark. Just because they're quiet dogs doesn't mean they're oblivious. They're very observant. Alert barking can be annoying, in particular coming from Jamie, who shouts at the birds and squirrels for real. However, in this house it is allowed and it's even helpful. If we listened to our Whippets a few years back, we would not have been robbed. I've made a video on this whole madness and you can watch it here. It also reminds us to monitor the surroundings of our house. With that said, don't even think about it. These noodles are horrible guard dogs. Or else we wouldn't have been robbed with 5 Whippets in the house. They can neither guard a property nor scare off thieves. Another myth due to their conformation. You look at those thin legs and that at first glance gentle structure and appearance of theirs, and you think of fine glass. Whippets are sturdier than they look. A breed built for speed. If you've ever seen one of them hunt down and catch a small animal, you know that behind the mask of a sweet, sensitive drama queen stands a creature with no mercy, ready to do whatever it takes to catch that small fluffy thing. Don't get me wrong, they are sweet and sensitive drama queens, with a very high prey drive. They're athletes, not China dolls, not to be mixed up with Italian greyhounds. They are indeed fragile, and a broken leg is one of the biggest nightmares of Iggy owners. Yet whippets are not invincible, and fractures can happen under extreme or unfortunate circumstances. What is actually fragile about them is their thin skin. They get cuts and tears easily, so unless your whippet lives in a bubble, they will have at least one noticeable scar. Whippets like peace and quiet, and children stress them out. Bruh. I've heard this so many times, my brain hurts. This myth was likely born from the fact that whippets are sensitive and they prefer a more predictable lifestyle. This is indeed true, but it doesn't exclude the fact that they're amazing with children and fantastic family buddies. I personally know countless of lovely responsible families that have both whippets and young children, and I don't have a story that's different from happily ever after. Yes, although they love to sleep and enjoy a quiet environment, they also love to have fun, and kids can provide a ton of fun and entertainment. In fact, my brother and sister were 5 years old at the time we got our first whippet Daira, and to this day they can tell you so many stories of playing hide and seek with her and a ton of other games. The second she heard them laughing and having fun, she was out of her cave bed, running towards them to not miss the party. When raised properly, they are extremely gentle with kids too. Obviously, when having children and a whippet under the same roof, it's crucial to advocate for both sides and teach them proper interaction and respect of each other's boundaries. And this applies to any dog, not just whippets. And for parents with young kids looking into getting a whippet puppy, please know that whippet puppies can be very challenging and the nightmare of those who are ill prepared. Think long and hard if you can handle a small child and a small raptor in a fursuit at once. And a small piece of advice for all of you new whippet owners with young children. When the whippet is running or has zoomies, keep the child far away from the radius of fun, because they will be slammed. And no, it will not be personal or on purpose. Here is one bonus example. Our youngest whippet, Eris, is not a fan of strangers, but more often than not, she will allow a child to approach and pet her, and sometimes she even seeks contact with children herself. I can't understand why. Kids are loud and unpredictable, and this contradicts her very nature of avoiding contact with people she doesn't know. But for a mysterious reason, she feels content around them, more so than around unfamiliar grown-up humans. Actually, they are. More than some might think. But here is the thing, they're not shepherds or retrievers, and they're not programmed to please people. They have a mind of their own and evaluate whether what you ask of them is worth their effort, and one of your jobs is to convince them it is. On top of that, they're sensitive and require a patient, positive, and gentle approach to maximize results. And because I've mentioned this countless of times on this channel, some of you think that what I state is that they're not trainable. And this is not true at all. They can excel in obedience, agility, and tricks with the right approach. Usually that's not the same approach that would work with a Belgian Malinois. Also, whippets are intuitive and intelligent, and here is a recent story for you. Eris had a blocked meibomian gland on her eyelid. I act like I can pronounce this, but I probably butchered it. But to be fair, that is the first time in my life I'm dealing with something of that sort. We caught it very early, and within 10 days it was fully healed. The treatment included an anti-inflammatory cream twice a day and warm compresses. The fact that she allowed me to treat her is not surprising because she trusts me with everything. Already on the second day, she learned to jump and sit on this specific chair the moment she saw me reach for the cream. If I was a little late with our new ritual, I would find her waiting for me on that same chair. Same with the compresses. Once she saw me carrying this one particular towel, she lied on this bed, because that's where we got them done. All credit goes to her and her brains. I didn't put much effort into teaching her any of this. No, no, and no. This applies to the majority of whippets out there. I know of horrible, unfortunate accidents thanks to such beliefs. The owner was convinced their whippet was completely reliable off-leash, and all it took was that one squirrel walking on the other side of the road, or that one kid blowing up firecrackers. I already see the comments coming. I know what some of you are going to tell me, that your whippet has a 10 out of 10 recall and it stops halfway when chasing a rabbit if you call them and comes right back to you. Listen, if that's nothing but the truth, you are very lucky. However, your single whippet is not the norm. Brady was like that. He was the most laid-back, 100% reliable whippet I've ever owned. I could take him anywhere off-leash with my eyes closed. But I know deep in my heart he was the first and last of his kind for me. If my experience and knowledge was based on him only, I would have preached on this channel how whippets are the most reliable of reliable dogs in existence. The thing is, Brady is not the norm either. Whippets are impulsive and have a strong prey drive. The purpose of Sighthounds was to chase small game the second they spotted it, no matter what, and this instinct is still very much alive and functioning. For their safety, they should be allowed off-leash at safe areas only, because all it takes is one squirrel and a car, a hole, or a log they didn't spot, and just one unpredictable event that spooks them. Not for nothing, ethical breeders will have in their contract fenced backyard only and strict rules on where their dogs will be allowed off-leash when handed to their new owners. So if you don't trust me, you might believe reputable folk with decades of experience on top of mine. My favorite myth, because medium-sized, short-haired, laid-back dogs. While they don't need monthly appointments at the groomer and hours of walks and mental stimulation, they hide other unexpected surprises. They are prone to anxiety and require emotional awareness, gentle approach, and consistent calm energy to build their confidence. And not everyone is prepared for this type of subtle, high-empathy relationship. Speaking of anxiety, separation anxiety is a huge and very real problem underestimated by many. Tackling it requires a structured approach to alone time tolerance or someone who is home often, or else everyone will struggle. Just 2 points that make whippets low maintenance in appearance, but high maintenance in emotion, safety, and environment. I will purposefully not mention shedding because recently I made a whole video on it which you can watch here. As a matter of fact, they're currently shedding more than at the time I made that video, so I'm collecting all the hair I can, and at the end of summer we will see how much I have collected throughout the whole whip flake season. And the rest of the myths we'll leave for another video. And did you actually know that all of your expectations about whippets could be a lie? You can watch this video here to find out why. Have a lovely weekend and a fantastic week afterwards, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye!